It's ogre for the video game industry. It's ogre. This is the ogering. The ogre to end all ogres. Absolute calamity is about to fall the AAA industry. You know why? Because they decided to discriminate against people with DEI. They hired based on race. They promoted based on race. And if rumors are true, Xbox paid differently based on race. Now, why haven't they been sued already? Okay. There's three things that held people back from suing the industry. One, the industry acts like a cabal. If you piss off Xbox, no one else is really going to hire you. That's not a problem anymore because Clear Obscure showed that you don't have to work at a AAA company to make an amazing game. So that barrier is gone. The second barrier was the lower courts made this nonsensical standard saying you had to show damages. It wasn't in the law, but they said you have to show damages or you can't sue for discrimination. Well, the Supreme Court heard that a case on that and said, no, the law does not say you have to show damages. You just have to prove you were discriminated against. So that standard was overturned. There was one last standard, and I covered this, and I told you guys that the Supreme Court were going to rule in favor of, was it the defendant or the plaintiff? The person bringing the case, let's just say that. And the last standard was, if you're white and straight, you have to show an extra burden of proof that you were discriminated against. So the Supreme Court heard that case. They finally ruled on it on the 5th. And they said, no, you do not have to show extra burden of proof. You just have to prove you were discriminated against. The law applies equally. There is no extra burden of proof for white people. There is no extra burden of proof for straight people. You cannot discriminate against people in America, period. And the decision was 9-0. So even the leftist judges on the court said, nah, you ain't discriminating against people in America. Now, I don't know. I didn't really put a lot of thought into it, right? Like who was going to vote and what, because not my really area of expertise. But if I had to guess back then when I covered this, I would have said like, hey, one or two are going to dissent, right? Because you always have one or two that are going to dissent against this stuff. Because even when they abolished the standard of having to show damages, I believe there were some dissenters. No, this was 9-0. All saying you cannot discriminate in America, period. There is no extra burden of proof for anyone, period. What that means is now every single person that Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, EA, Ubisoft in America, and every other company who participated in DEI discriminated against people based on race, gender, and sexuality can be sued into oblivion. This verdict has opened, or shall I say, will open the floodgates for lawsuit Armageddon against DEI in America. This has been a bigger blow to DEI than the Trump administration going after it. You know, Microsoft being defined, oh, we're not going to stop doing DEI. Okay. Lawsuit. Okay, your CEO's fired. Lawsuit. Okay, we're abolishing DEI practices and settling with everyone out of court. Oh, look at that. They stopped doing DEI. It's no longer economically sustainable. In fact, it's economically risky. I would not be surprised if we start seeing some CEOs get gone. Because someone's going to have to take the blame for all this discrimination. And that typically is the CEO because investors do not like to hear that they're being sued into oblivion, that their investment is being ruined because of lawsuits. But here is a legal defense fund, kind of a woke institution, and they basically just summed up what I said. Simply put, the Ames decision reaffirms Title VII's anti-discrimination principles and framework by holding that they apply equally to everyone. We are pleased that the court did not use this case as an opportunity to wholly upend well-established Title VII principles and precedents. Basically, they still want to apply to LGBT and other minorities, and there's a good chance that the Supreme Court could have done that. They did not have to rule saying it applied equally. They could have ruled and said, yeah, this is unconstitutional, or parts that are unconstitutional, or how it's enforced is unconstitutional. Well, they kind of did that by saying it has to be enforced equally. But like they could have like stripped it in other ways so that it couldn't be used in certain functions. But instead they just said, no, this all still stands. Every precedent on this still stands, and it applies to everyone equally. So yeah, the video game industry is screwed, and they deserve it. This is going to be so hilarious. Watch it play out. It's going to be hilarious, guys. And I say, it shall be called the ogering, because it is truly ogre. And that's all there really is to sum up about this. Hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, everybody.